Hi, welcome to Root Access, the show on GDL about startups. My name is Martin Omander and I work for Google Developer Relations, and today I'm joined by none other than Dawn Dodge, fellow Googler, longtime investor and startup advocate. Today we'll handle viewer questions. And thank you for all your comments coming in on YouTube, by the way. Keep them coming, we love them. Dawn, in our show about the trends from the demo days recently for Y Combinator and 500 startups, you talked a little about how investors think. You said something like, it doesn't matter if you lose $3 million or $8 million. And that sure got us a lot of viewer comments. One viewer commented that this reasoning is very troubling and like that of a gambling addict. Is that so?
Well, yes, venture capital investors are gamblers by nature. But let's put the question in context. The question was, if you invest $100,000, does it matter that the valuation is $5 million or $8 million? And my answer to that was no, it really doesn't matter. Let me give you a couple examples. Let's say you invest $100,000 in a startup and the valuation is $5 million, and you invest another $100,000 in a startup that the valuation is $8 million. Both startups go out of business. You lose all of your money. Does it matter that the first startup you invested the $100,000 in was $5 million valuation versus 8? No, because you lost all of your money, so it doesn't matter. Conversely, let's say you invested $100,000 in a startup at $5 million and $8 million, and it goes to $1 billion valuation. Does it matter that you invested one at $5 million, one at $8 million when the exit value was $1 billion? On the margins, maybe, but generally, no. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but valuation is a very small factor in your investment decision. So that was the point of the question.
So owning 100% of zero or owning 50% of zero, it's still zero.
That's right.
Got it. Another viewer, Hijane Moulay, and I'm sorry if I butchered your name there, commented that investors are like race goers. They go to the race, they see all these race horses that are the startups, and they place their bets and lose many of the bets and hope to win once or twice. Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, I think that works. Venture capital investing is very risky, and it is like gambling. And investors tend to place multiple bets. Rather than go all in on one company, they'll place bets on multiple companies, or in this case, multiple horses. Mm-hmm. And you know that you're going to lose all of your money on some of them, but the expectation is that you'll make 10 times your money or 100 times your money on one or two of them and come out very, very well. So yes, venture capital investors tend to take big risks and maybe be like gamblers. As opposed to bankers who, when you get a loan from a bank, they're loaning against assets and they expect to make 3% or 5% on their money. It's a totally different mindset of a venture capital investor who expects to make 300% or 500% on their money. So it's a different mindset, a different risk profile, and you need to take big risks in order to make big money. So it's just a very different approach. And gambling on racehorses is probably a good analogy.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't take my retirement savings and put it all into one startup?
No, 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 no. And you shouldn't take your venture money and put it all into one startup either. You should spread your risks.
Oh, very good, very good. Another viewer, Andres Felipe Diaz, commented on our episode about how to get funding, that we talked a lot about how to get funding and what to put in a pitch, but not how to get that meeting with the investor. That is a barrier, I think, to many startups. How do you get a meeting with an investor, and how do venture capitalists think about who they talk to?
Well, first of all, go to where the money is. So go to, I was just at TechCrunch Disrupt yesterday for 3 days. That's where hundreds and hundreds of investors and startups and press all get together and present new ideas on stage. So go to conferences, go to meetups, go to sort of networking events where investors and entrepreneurs and startups tend to congregate. That's how you get access to startups, to money. Sending an email sometimes works, but rarely. But if you see the same person in person at an event, you develop an instant kind of rapport and can probably make more progress that way. It's like networking with anything else. If you're trying to hire some engineers, the first thing you do is network with other engineers that you know, because they have friends who are engineers. Same thing with investment. When you're looking for angel investors or VC investors, go to an investor that you know because they know other investors. If you don't know any investors, go to a startup entrepreneur that you know, or someone who works at a startup, because they have investors and they may introduce you to their investors. And when you get that first meeting with an investor, they are likely to introduce you to other investors. So it's a social networking kind of thing.
So it sounds like for hires, for investment, for all kinds of things, you need to be a good networker to be in a successful startup.
Absolutely. Entrepreneurs need to be extroverts. And I've seen many, many entrepreneurs who are naturally introverts who over time convert to extroverts, because you have to talk to investors and to hire employees and talk to the press and get customers and users. By nature, you're going to have to go out there and talk to them. So you develop into a more of an extrovert.
So there is hope. It can be done.
It can.
All right. Thank you very much, Don. And thank you all for watching. Please continue to leave your comments and questions you'd like us to bring up in future episodes in the YouTube comments. And finally, I am also a developer, and I've written many apps myself on the Google Cloud platform. I think it's a great platform. And we have a special offer for root access viewers. If you follow the instructions on screen, you can get a $2,000 credit so you can get started on the platform. Thank you very much, and see you next time.